your selection of topic. And Alan, you covered yourself well when you covered my slide, but still made it sound like career preparation. I'm really impressed with that. Anyway, making spaces count. You know, this is, if there are any of the four that everyone is sure to have an opinion on, I've got to believe it's this one. Whether you complain about your parking spot or how cold or warm it is in your office or anything like that. Making spaces count is really what it says. It's about making sure from a student experience standpoint that everything is where it's supposed to be and everything's pretty and it works, runs on time and it works and all of that stuff. So that is the very broad scope of this part of the signature experience work. You'll notice there's an intentional word there, and that is virtual spaces. Now, I understand physical spaces reasonably well. Quite frankly, I don't have the faintest idea of what I mean by virtual spaces, only everybody talks virtual these days. So that's also a plea for help to help me define what in the world virtual spaces is and how does it impact the student experience. And I'm sure many of you have thought about that a lot more than I have. But again, very broad scope on making all of our spaces count, and I think it's the kind of thing that can have both an immediate impact on students, but a long-term impact if everything works and is the way it's supposed to be. I need to pause here because we've got a parallel effort, or a complementary effort that you may have heard about going on, and that is a very broad master planning effort. And we've actually hired some people who know what they're doing, Freeze and Nichols, to lead us in creating a master plan for the university. If you happen to be familiar with our process for deciding what we build and where, you would realize that it's pretty haphazard. We get somebody who wants to give us some money, they have an interest in this area, and boom, a scene shop shows up, or a fitness center shows up, and we spend 3 to 5 minutes deciding where we're going to put it, and that's how that works. What we need is a much more comprehensive view of what our future facilities are going to be, and this master plan is intended to address a lot of the future needs that we have, both academically, as far as how many classrooms, what needs to be in the classrooms, how many seats should there be, as well as all of the student services, athletic facilities, office facilities, and that kind of thing. So you might say, well, we've got, you know, and we're spending some good money on having these professionals do some master planning, and now we've got a parallel effort on student signature experience spaces counting. Let's say that 5 times fast. Anyway, you know, and the key is that we, as in this project, need to make sure that we inform the master planning effort as to what we want the future to be. So we've really got a great opportunity here to make sure that our future plans really reflect what we as university stakeholders think that needs to be in place in the future. And that is really, really important because, again, maybe more than anything else, undoing mistakes where spaces count is more expensive and more time-consuming, perhaps, than undoing mistakes in other areas. So we want to get this right the first time. I'll also mention Dr. Alexander's great work in Classroom Next, and this would include things like figuring out what does our classroom of the future need to look like, and we've got not only a design but a plan, and we're even spending money on it, Marcus, right? So that makes it really extraordinary for us. So a lot of cool stuff's going to go on here. Again, the deliverables are going to be long-term plans. It's my expectation that this effort and the master plan in conjunction will come up with a many million-dollar list of facilities we need to put in place and virtuals we need to put in place, whatever in the world those are. But again, that's important. While we won't be able to do everything day one, we'll be able to prioritize things. And what's important to me is we'll focus on the student when we decide what bricks and mortar we're going to put in place in the future, because as much as I'd like a better air-conditioned office or something, you know, perhaps that's not most important, although maybe it is. We'll see. So anyway, if you've got an interest in this area, you need 2 things. You need to be vocal about spaces, and I'm sure I'll get that. And you need to be a little patient, because this is going to take us a little while to work through. The master plan should be quote-unquote completed by the end of this calendar year. And completed just means we got a list of things we want to do, so really nothing's completed. But I think this is good, honorable work, and hopefully we'll be able to focus on the right things where spaces are concerned. Any questions about that? Let me know red or white wine later on. Joan, you're next.
Bill, we spent more than 3 to 5 minutes deciding on where to put the fitness center, by the way. But, I'm in charge of a project steward for enhancing campus communications, and I'm really delighted because my co-pilot in this effort is Chuck Burton, and he and I will be working with this group. This is very general. I mean, there are a lot of things I'm sure you could share right now about how we could do a better job with communications on this campus. So what we've tried to do is narrow it to 2 things initially, and they are developing a process as to how we communicate events-based activities on this campus. And it's not just, you know, Goose Tree lectures and concerts in Martin Hall, but it's everything. Academic events and seminars and things on the weekends and what you're doing in your offices. And we realized that, and have known for a long time, that we needed to do a better job. And it's not just, you know, getting more people here, but trying to figure out how we should tell them about it. And with all this new technology out there, this committee is going to look at what we should be communicating, how we should be doing it effectively, the different stakeholders. Chuck and I, we both have offices that deal a lot with external stakeholders, but everyone on this campus does. And we want to make sure our donors and our trustees and our alumni and our students and our faculty and everyone who likes to come visit our campus knows what's going on. Secondly, we've decided to also look at how we're going to communicate all the good things going on with this initiative to all those constituents. First, to all of us and everyone on campus, but then how are we going to take these stories and all this good work outside? So those are the 2 areas we're going to be looking at. In regard to events-based communications, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go out there and gather a bunch of information and find out who's doing this really well. And you may know of some folks who are doing this really well. I think TCU does a great job. We want to see what they're using and how they're doing this. We also want to understand how they're communicating it to all their constituents. So those are some of the deliverables. Other schools we're going to look at, I think Trinity University does a good job. Other ways they're doing it, and then how we can improve. And right now, when I look at what we're doing, I mean, there's a lot of improvement that could take place. And one thing I want to mention about this when it comes to events is that this is a perfect time to be doing this because our office is in the midst of the beginning of a conversion to some new software called Razor's Edge. In fact, we sat in this morning on a demo, and it was just amazing. In the next 6 months, we will be working with this committee on this new conversion. And one thing it'll do, for example, I saw this morning is you'll go into the front page of the website here and you'll click on Alumni and Friends, or you'll click on Events, and you'll immediately be taken to a new website that our office will manage with Chuck. And for example, like Goose Tree today, you could have gone in last night, clicked on Goose Tree on a calendar, it would have come up, you could have made your payment at that point, you could have seen the RSVP list, you could have seen what students, who was going. I mean, this amazing, amazing software. And so it's just a perfect time to do this. And we really want some people to get involved with our committee who have some creativity and ideas like technology and want to look at these different things with us in our office. With regard to communicating about the signature experience, again, we want to have you helping us decide what should be communicated. You know, things from, for example, should we have some billboards up differently that tell our stories? How should we be doing this on campus with signage? Should we do some promotions? You know, I think this is going to be a really fun committee because you're going to be able to take what everybody else is doing here and then decide how we're going to get the word out. That's it. I hope you'll join us. I can't promise wine, but I will say that my office does have the best food and beverage budget on the campus. Okay?
Okay,
I was sitting there and I was thinking that this is the project kickoff meeting, and yet we've been at the signature experience for well over a year. So I want you to realize that of the 4 areas that these projects span, a lot of thought and a lot of planning went into them. So your ideas are most welcome, especially when they fit in one of these 4 categories. If they don't fit in the 4 categories, by all means share them, but realize it takes a lot of planning and effort to get where we are now. And where we are now is ready to execute programs to support these projects. So you are here with a lot of people who've been working on this. Could everyone who's on the Signature Experience leadership team please raise your hand and keep it up? And on the Lighthouse faculty and staff members? Everybody up now? Okay, so it's a little more than half and half. I think there are a lot of people that wanted to be here today, but there were meeting conflicts, there were scheduling conflicts, they couldn't be here. So we're going to have sign-up sheets online that they can go to, and we hope that when you join a team that you'll let others know that you're a member of that team and that they can certainly join you. This program is open to anyone with a Wesleyan ID card. I mean, if you're a student, faculty, staff, if you're an alumni and you don't have a card, that's good too. Anyone that wants to help us get to where we're going. And part of what we're doing are projects, and one of the projects is campus cleanup. Where's Deanna?
Right here.
All right, Deanna is back in the back. There are some sheets up at the front desk here. Michael McAuliffe, does everyone know Michael? He's a project manager with IT, and he's got some handouts for you on the campus cleanup that's April 8th. And Deanna will be happy to share more information about that. That fits right into what we're doing, Signature Experience. So at this time, what I'd like to do is to have all of the project stewards stand up and find a table that you're going to go to, and then what we would like you to do is whichever project you identified most with, go to that table and join up. Or if you have questions, go see them and maybe you want to join something else.
Yes. Yes.